Yes, call this meeting to order. Invite everyone to rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag, of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where's my mic? Is this mine? Okay, good evening and welcome to FRNCA's October 2nd monthly meeting. Tonight is largely an introduction to the candidates' night, but we do have some business to do quickly, and then we'll follow up after the candidates with the rest of our work. So I'll try to go through that as fast as I can. Roll call, please.
President Vince Taldone.
Here.
Vice President Stephen Schreiber.
here.
Treasurer Doris Dacus.
Here.
Secretary Sandy Adams. Here. General Board Member Paola Zuniga Tellez. Here.
Okay. We have a quorum.
All present.
Yes, all present. Okay, minutes for adoption. These have been reviewed by the board, and we would like to I'd like to ask for a motion to adopt. They'll be posted on the website for everyone to read. Stephen?
Yes.
Motion to adopt?
I motion.
Seconded by me. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, these are adopted and will be posted. Okay, treasurer's report. Our treasurer will give us a summary of our totals.
Okay, check and balance prior month, $8,415.46. 5K runner sign up online, $60. Donations, $100. Total credits and income, $160. Debit expense, Water Authority, $23.40. PSEG, $29.63. Filming by Curtin Media, $100. Head Start supplies purchased as donation, $1,451.04. Permit for trunk or treat event, $50. Donation to the Butterfly Effect Project, $500. Donation to Friendship Baptist Church, $25. Erica Pola Scholarship recipient, $1,000. QuickBook membership database program, $16.29. Stamps for blood drive, $54.40. Stamp for membership drive, $98. Snacks for Moonlight Paddle in July, $20.75. Yearly website maintenance paid in advance, $250. Total debit expense, $3,618.51. Closing check-in balance, $4,956.95. Savings opening balance, $7,443.75. Interest, 61 cents. Closing saving balance, $7,444.36. So total checking and savings together, $12,401.31.
Okay. Right.
One other thing, the park. Riverside Park Maritime Trail Grant, $500. Education, $1,708.88. Beautification, $4,347.54.
Right, and
That's
that's
the report.
the encumbered funds that are actually included in the totals she read first. But these are given to us for specific purposes, so we kind of keep a accounting of them separately. Alrighty. Okay, motion to adopt the treasurer's report,
I motion. Or I'll second.
and seconded by our secretary. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's adopted, and now we can move to the main event, although we have a long agenda afterward if we can get to all of it. But let me explain a little bit about the format. We are going to have opening statements by each candidate. First, it will be the town supervisor candidates, and then by the members who are running for the board. I'm sorry, the candidates who are running to be members of the town board. We will then take, and while we're doing this, hopefully everyone will fill out the cards. We're going to give out cards for people to write down the questions that they want to ask and send them up to the front. Stephen will be collecting them and giving out the cards.
It's an index card.
Just an index card. Just tell us who you are. You live in one of the 3 hamlets. If you're not from here, we just ask you tell us if there's any affiliation. If you work for one of the campaigns, if you are coming from a company, just explain why you're here. It doesn't disqualify you from asking a question. We just like to know who's asking questions if they're not residents of the 3 hamlets or businesses in the 3 hamlets. So Stephen's going to actually be giving out the agenda, which has the items for later on, and the cards. And I'm going to bring up the yeah, you can go right ahead and start.
What about pens?
Pens, I was told that people have pens, guaranteed.
I said women have pens.
Well, I wasn't going to say that. Women always have pens. Is that true, women?
I always have pens. I got a couple.
Never knew that. Okay, thank you. I mean, take cards. You might think of a question. Just funnel it up. You know, these are your town board representatives, perhaps the closest to our services of anyone. So you got a question, now is the time while they're here. So I'm going to break from our normal order of business to bring in the supervisor candidates. Each will speak for roughly 5 minutes. And then I'd like to, because there isn't enough room for everyone, bring up the candidates for town board separately. Okay, so we're going to go hide in the corner. Who's the, no, that's not that. Yeah, you don't have that.
Vince, what do you want, anywhere? One of these?
Wherever you choose.
I have 2 pens with pink polka dot tape, if anyone.
Okay. I'm never good at this. And we're going to have a coin toss to decide the order, whether Republicans are first or Democrats who are also on other lines. Who would like to do that?
Hey, hey, hey.
Or do you guys care?
I don't care.
Whoever tosses it. That's fine. You
I
got
don't
the-
have a coin, so anybody got a coin?
Do I get it back?
Yes. Okay. Just toss it on the table. Okay, Republicans are heads?
Okay, that
Or
works.
not?
Heads.
Heads.
Okay, so you can choose whether to be first or second.
I'll defer. Go ahead, Jay.
Okay.
And you're choosing for the rest of the night for the other candidates.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
All right. Good evening to everyone, and thank you to FRNCA for hosting tonight's Meet the Candidates. Especially to Vince, thank you for introducing us. Meet the Candidates is almost kind of funny because I probably know everybody in the room at this point. I've been in this room many, many, many times. In fact, I had a meeting here earlier today. It's some of the greatest ideas, I think, for this community have been born in the Crowan Center, and from moving the big duck back to changing zip codes to the roundabout. We've taken on so many issues. You know me, and you know that I fight for this community. I just mentioned a couple things. Getting the duck back here was a big thing for this community, and I was there for you guys when you wanted to get the duck back. When you wanted to get the traffic circle fixed and we needed millions of dollars to do it, I was there for you. When the sex offender trailer was placed here, if you may remember, I was there for you, and we fought and we fought and we got it out of here. Lots of people can make promises. You know with me that I will keep my promises and I will fight for the people of this community. I just delivered my second budget. Second tax cut in a row. This was a nearly 1% tax cut. Last year was about a 2% tax cut. So since I've been here, that's about 3% lower taxes. We reduced the town outstanding debt over the same 2 years by about $12 million. We achieved a AAA credit rating. Both S&P and now Moody's has joined S&P in rating us as AAA. On the environmental front, we've preserved over 400 acres at the town board with my colleagues. I see some are here, John Bouvier and Julie Lofsted, Stan Glinka, and Councilwoman Scalera. Hi, Christine, in the background. So we have a very aggressive open space program, preserving farmland and open spaces. We passed a law requiring advanced wastewater for new construction in sensitive areas for residential septic systems. We passed a water quality protection plan, a coastal resources protection plan. We increased the energy ratings required for large homes. On the public safety front, we brought in a great new chief of police in Chief Skrnicki. We added, excuse me, a new public safety director recently to head code enforcement and emergency management. We've added 4 new police officers, including a woman, a Latino woman from this community who has now joined our police force. We're fortunate to have seen townwide about a 13% reduction in major crimes over the past year. So I believe we are heading in the right direction. One last thing I will mention, in open government, I have attempted with my colleagues on the town board to reach out to the community, to bring government to the people that we represent. We've held town board meetings in the Riverside community. We've held work sessions in the Riverside community. We launched a platform to make it easier to bring issues to our attention. It's called SOS, Southampton Online Solutions. You can complain anonymously about issues, and you can track the progress of those complaints. For those who know me, you know I have an open door policy. I'm easy to reach. You can visit me whenever you want, and I continue to enjoy serving this community. I would like to continue on with another term. I think we're moving in the direction. I want to continue to see Southampton Town moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Ray Overton. I'm from West Hampton, and this is my first effort at running for Southampton Town Supervisor, and I'm on the Republican line. I too have spoken here before. I ran twice for Southampton Town Trustee, once successfully in 2013, and then again in 2015, where I was narrowly defeated. I'd like to thank all of you for allowing us this opportunity to come in and speak to you. After listening to Jay, you have to wonder, why would I run for Southampton Town Supervisor, and what are my qualifications? Why am I doing it? Town seems to be going pretty well. However, there are areas that are not, and I've sat here in Flanders, Riverside, for a number of those issues and listened to this community speak out. 2 years ago, I was at Phillips Avenue School listening to a discussion on the Renaissance Project and listening to a community that was scared. They were united in their concern. They were also united in their passion to improve this community. Now, this exists in other areas of Southampton Town. There are many areas that don't have the issues that exist here, don't have the issues that exist on the opposite end of Route 24 in Hampton Bays. So what do I bring to the table? I've spent my life in business management. I've worked for various companies, whether they be in the construction industry, resort management, or real estate management, where on a day-to-day basis, I get a load of problems that get put on my desk. And the job is to come up with resolutions for those problems. It's not to sit there and figure out different laws, different rules, but it's to actually come through and to resolve them, and to get started and move things forward so that you see results. When I drive up and down Riverly Avenue, as I do regularly, I have family that still lives in Riverhead. I live in West Hampton. I'm a west side of the canal guy. I see the issues that are here. I've had to point out to local PD about one of my own employees who recently died of a heroin overdose. One of the last places he was at, and I know this because he was in our company's truck, was on Riverly Avenue. It bothers me, and I know how much it bothers you to see what's there. But this is a great community. You have some of the most beautiful resources there are in the town of Southampton. It doesn't take but a couple minutes walking down near the river to see how gorgeous that is. When you take a look at the other woodlands and other areas, there are plenty of good reasons here in Flanders. This was a vibrant community, and it can come back that way. Again, going back to that 2 years ago, I have never seen such a diverse group of people so united in one idea, and that's to get Flanders, Riverside, Northampton to be a vibrant, safe, successful community again. Those are things that I take very dearly and take very seriously, and it's what's spurred my desire to run for town supervisor at this point in time. I thank you again very much for this opportunity to address you today, and I look forward to speaking to you more, each of you more and more as we go forward.
Do we have any questions?
Sandy's doing the reading.
I was getting ready to go for it.
Hope you know different languages.
Former board member of many, many years.
Okay, this is anonymous. Increased police presence. I'll give you the 3 comments on here, and you can take them as you please. I guess it's a question. Will there be, it doesn't say that, increased police presence?
All right, if you want me to go first. So there already has been. So we've made some significant changes so that we could have more police resources available to this community. I think you guys have probably seen that. So we have a car in this area quite a bit. So two cars. Thank you. So yeah, we have upped the police presence in this Flanders Riverside community, and there's been some significant arrests as well made in this area. So the answer is yes, if it's a question.
No, I only seen 2 in a dome.
2 cars or 2 people? 2 cars. Okay. It's probably
Want
4
to
people.
comment on the increasing police presence?
And I also just add that Chief Skrnicki has come to this community a number of times already to meet and listen to the concerns. I'm sorry, Ray. Go.
Obviously, the police presence has to be where the problem exists. Whether it's 2 cars, 3 cars, or more, we need to address what the issue is and get sufficient resources over here to deal with it. Now, also existing in this community, and I'm going to be honest, as someone who lived here, there were an issue over in the hotel across from the state police barracks, and it ended up being a homicide. And what concerned me is that existed right across the street from the New York State Police Barracks. It existed right down the street from a significant sheriff's department deployment. That would be embarrassing to me if I was part of that law enforcement. And I would take on a very aggressive standpoint to say, what's causing this and how do we get rid of it? I don't think there's anybody who has, I sat in a courtroom one day on a traffic ticket and a judge berated a young man for being at the Shell station at 2 o'clock in the morning. And he basically said, I know why you're there. If he knows why he's there and everybody else knows why he's there, why does the problem continue to exist? It needs to be addressed with more than just the town PD. And there needs to be a tremendous coordination of the law enforcement assets that are in this community. There are more than enough police cars that go through this community on a daily and hourly basis. They need to have their eyes open. Secondarily, they need to have the trust in the community that something's going to happen. You folks are the eyes and ears of this community. We need your help. We need your eyesight. We need your information. You guys know what's going on. You have to be protected when you do it. I know people are scared, but again, I saw a passion here that steps over that being scared. I saw people who are looking for action. And it's up to the government to help coordinate it and get it to occur.
All right, thank you. Again, a comment here. Homeless living in the industrial zone and prostitution in the industrial zone. Are you aware of it? Or someone, I guess, are you aware of that going on?
In the LI 40?
I guess so. That's what they refer to as the industrial zone.
Yeah.
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 I get somebody to call you.
Okay. But I was not aware of either of those two issues in that area. I know there's been problems in the past with prostitution in the community and drug use and drug dealing. So it's something that we are aware of and following. I didn't know specifically in the LI 40 there was a problem, but I will refer that to our police chief.
In the areas that I've driven through here, the more industrial or the less active as a residential community something is, the more opportunity there is for problems because people aren't there overnight. I don't care where you are in this town, you have those places that exist. It wouldn't surprise me when you say that, because people are going to go where they're not spotted, where people are not doing a drive-by. They're going to create these opportunities for illegal behavior for their own personal benefit. And prostitution's a job, drug dealing's a job. They're going to go places where they can't be found. Again, we need help in coordinating with that. Obviously, the police department has to be aware. If they're not made aware and they're not reacting to it, something needs to change in that as far as the deployment and the efforts.
Will you continue to support? I think it's supposed to be support, not suppose. Will you continue to support FRNCA? And we want equal to the same money for roads, etc. Show FRNCA residents the same as Southampton, Quogue, Hampton Bays, East Hampton. We want to be united. I'm not sure. Would someone like to address any of that?
Well, not all those areas you mentioned are town of Southampton. I think East Hampton would not be.
Right.
Some of those areas may have their own highway departments. So those areas that are within the town, we pass a budget that's town-wide for the highway piece, and there's significant road improvements. And the main corridor here is State Route 24, and that was recently repaved. That was thanks to Assemblyman Thiel. And the circle, as if anybody's gone through the roundabout, you'll notice all the work that's being done there. That's a county project. And then Alex Greger, who I think may be here later, who's our highway superintendent, he's responsible for the roads. I can tell you that I have increased the funding for town highway slightly, so they'll have a little bit more money available for highway projects if the town board passes the budget that was just introduced. So that's the best I can say in terms of how the highway superintendents prioritize that paving money. That's, I think, a question for the highway superintendent debate.
Do you have any comments?
I believe you folks have seen the highway superintendent candidates already. So again, they have their priorities in their budget. They have their priorities within their budgets. What's critical is that those priorities match up with the needs of the town of Southampton. Frank is obviously, you folks have developed a very, very good organization here. You're strong, you're diverse. Looking for the opportunities to expend that money and improve has got a tremendous, it's a great opportunity there, and it needs to be set up as a priority. The people who are in charge in that area need to sit there and address it as well. Most importantly is to realize where you run into problems. There is some difficulty in the town of Southampton, and I know Flanders has some of it, in private roads. I live on one myself. I know it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. It would be wonderful if there would be some additional help coming down from the state as far as defining this and making it easier, but I don't think that you could just ignore it. I think you have to work with the community to help them figure out a way to get the best bang for their buck and improve those highways. One of the problems that comes in with roads is they become an area for people to congregate if they're not improved, if they're not well lit, if they're off the beaten path, and you have other problems that develop there.
I have the first non-anonymous question from Ron Fisher.
You can't be anonymous.
What do you think of the third-party billing for our ambulance corps? Any comments from either?
You want to go first? It's up to you.
I'm going to be dead honest. I have read the outskirts on this as far as the third-party billing. As far as your ambulance scoring, the ambulances need to be funded correctly. They need to get that money in, and that's there. I don't know the details on it, and I would be remiss to sit there and speak any further than that.
All right, let me try this one. So, this community is unique in a lot of different ways, and in a positive way, lots of positive ways. But one of the pressures on the Flanders, Riverside, Northampton community is there's a lot of property that's preserved and off the tax rolls, and there's a lot of government buildings, whether it's the county center or the jail, all these places, the courts that the ambulance needs to respond to. And they put together a budget, and they have to fund their ambulances and the maintenance and the ambulance barn and a certain level of staff. And it's a huge burden on a very small group of people. And Ronnie Hintz, who's the chairperson of the ambulance, came forward and said, with an idea, this third-party billing idea, if the insurance companies already being paid to insure, whether it's a car accident or health insurance, why are the residents of Flanders, Riverside, Northampton picking up the bill? It's a really good question. Why, So we had multiple discussions. We had work sessions here. We had the firehouse. We've been talking about it. And I think in this circumstance, it is the right thing to do. It is the way to keep property taxes from going up. Spread that burden onto these insurance companies. And if it's done right with the right third-party billing company, not a predatory company, not who's going to chase people down who can't pay, but if you have insurance, get the money from that insurance company. That makes sense. So I plan to support it. It's with a different hat because as a town board member, where the town board is also commissioners of that ambulance district. And we will have a meeting, and I intend to support third-party billing as a pilot program. 2 years. Give it 2 years, give it a shot, and see how it goes. And let's see if it can stabilize taxes in this area. I think it makes sense, and I plan to support it.
Okay, last question from a Flanders resident. The preliminary budget calls for a 2,000 square foot children's museum. Will you support an amendment to double the size and better meet the needs of the community?
So this is the Ludlam Avenue Park. Great park, great recreational facilities. There's been a request that was born out of this community to bring in a children's museum there, a 2,000 square foot building. And with the hope that maybe it could expand as much as a 4,000 square foot building. The role the town is playing is really providing the land. And Councilman Scalera, I know, has been working very hard on this, and Councilman Bouvier, and a number of people, Councilwoman Lofstad. The town isn't necessarily building the building. We're trying to do it with funds from the Community Development Block Grant Program, as well as money from that Senator Laval would be providing in a grant. That should pay for that 2,000 square foot building. I have no problem with expanding it to 4,000 if there is additional grant funding. I am not intending to place that as an operational cost or burden the taxpayers with the construction of that building. If it can be built with grant funding, we can make it available to great groups like the Children's Museum. They do excellent programming. I've been to their facility in Bridgehampton numerous times. So whether it's a 2,000 square foot building or 4,000 square foot building, that's fine, as long as there's outside grant money to construct it.
I lied about that being the last question.
Okay,
Oh, would you like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Again, this was one of the issues that I heard discussed a couple years ago was the Children's Museum, which is a wonderful idea. The idea behind it, though, should be that it starts and it has a constant support to expand. This is an opportunity, sort of like SYS in Southampton, where you can look for public-private cooperation. As Jay's putting out, the town is putting up the property. We need to look and really search out organizations that will sit there and put this money up and help go that way. That it needs to be an aggressive search. It exists. And when you take a look at a community like this, there are particular organizations that would identify it and go that way. To look to the state, to look to the county, you're stuck in another budget situation where both the state and the county are looking at 100 different things. What needs to be done is to look aggressively at other opportunities, at private groups that would come in that have the desire to support the arts, that have the desire to support children, that have the desire to help lift an area and provide that. And I believe it's out there. I know it is because I've seen other areas that have taken on these type of private-public partnerships and developed them well. So the idea would be is to put together the group to go find that cash and put the hit on some people that are there. When I was in college, there was a gentleman who stood up. We were a private school. We depended a tremendous amount on endowment. And you go find people, and he sat there and said, they always ask me to give till it hurts. You have to find the people who want to give till it feels really good. And there you are out there.
This is from Chris Sheldon of Northampton. Bathing beach at Wildwood Lake. Since 1996, the town of Southampton has spent $1 million plus towards planning additional land acquisition and improvements. The present abandoned, unsafe appearance keeps local residents from using the beach and encourages up-island non-residents to trespass. This beach is the only town-owned public beach facility for all of the northwest quarter hamlets of Flanders, Riverside, and Northampton. The town needs to finish improvements and enforce its public parking permit policy. Will the beach be ready for summer 2018?
I agree with Chris. So, well, you know, there are issues at Wildwood Lake, and particularly on the parking side, and with the bowling alley, and with the condition of the park. And so, will it be ready by 2018? We will certainly try to make some improvements there.
Thank you. Are you familiar with the situation?
Yes, I am. Wildwood Lake was when I was on the trustees, was part of my jurisdiction. That's the lake itself, not the town park property around it. And I don't know how to say it other than it's kind of embarrassing. If you go to other parks within the town, you don't see the conditions that were there. We go back to the first thing that we started with, which is the crime. I'm going to be honest, it's one of those places that, you know, if you were looking for trouble or looking to be in trouble, it would be a place to go. It's dark, it's out of the way, it's not well patrolled, it's really forgotten. And I don't know the proposed budget that's out there. It was put out on Thursday. I've started going through the 1,400 pages that are in that budget. It's a big, big box. So I haven't gotten through the completion on that to see what's there. It would be great to find, that's a safety issue. And that to me is the number one issue that should be in any budget, is considering what is the safety regarding town facilities. We have a number of town facilities that are either have become break-in homes for those who can't find a place to sleep. They have become deteriorated. They were never repaired from storms. And then you have this one here that never finished off of what it was supposed to be to begin with. And it's not safe. There's places for people to get hurt there. And it really, really should be taken care of, and it should become a priority. If it was my budget, it would be a priority.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to call up the candidates for town board, who will each have also 5 minutes to introduce themselves. And then we will take questions, as we just did on the cards, from audience members, or you can fill them out now while they're speaking. And our trustee secretary will read them out.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Councilman Stan Glinka. It's been my pleasure serving you as a town councilman for the past 4 years. And the past 4 years have been very humbling, but also been very rewarding. When I first took this endeavor on, I had been in banking for now 24 years. And it seemed as a perfect fit for me when I was asked to run for office 4 years. And as I said, the night that was election night was very humbling for me. And it's been also very rewarding at the same time because I've been able to bring experience in from what I've been doing now for the past 24 years in banking into town hall and into the town. And one of the things that I have prided myself on since I've been in office is embedding myself in the communities, but also in the departments that affect our communities. I can say firsthand that I've actually been a councilman who has ridden with the Southampton Town Police on the overnight tour. And when I've ridden on the overnight tour and I've gotten approval for it, I've ridden in this area, Flanders, Riverside, Northampton, and knowing the issues and hearing from all of you in the community, I could first-handedly say I saw what everyone has talked about. I've also embedded myself in the community with code enforcement. As an elected official, we're assigned different departments as liaisonship, and I was gratefully accepted the liaisonship to code enforcement. So I've embedded myself in with them, and I've gone riding with them as well too. So I've seen firsthand the troubled homes and properties that you have all endured, not only here, but throughout the entire town of Southampton. And tonight, it gives me great pleasure to ask you again for that vote of confidence to run for office and be reelected this November. And I welcome your questions and open discussion this evening. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Thea. Good evening. My name is Thea Dombrowski-Fry. I was born and raised in Watermill. Presently, I live in Hampton Bays, and I'm raising my 13-year-old son with my husband. I work for Southampton Public Schools. I have a very extensive resume. Most people ask me, why do you want to run for town council? It's very simple for me because I look in the eyes of my sweet boy, and I say, what do I want to leave you? With my parents, when I graduated from college, I turned around and my father said, this is what you have, the East End. You can buy yourself a house, you can get a good job, maybe not in that order, but you can raise a family, you can grow a garden, go fishing, go clamming, go crabbing, just like we did when you were a child, and you can provide that to your child. I want my son to turn around when he's 25 or 26 years old and look at his children and be able to say the same thing. And I look around and I see that the East End, it's not like it was 25 years ago, and I understand that things change, but we still need to have a voice. The people need a voice, and I want the privilege and the honor of being your voice. And I hope that in November you will elect me as your town council. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tommy John Scavone. I am from Sag Harbor, and I want to thank FRNCA and Bayview Pines and Water's Edge for having us here today. It's been a difficult day in our country, and it's important for us and our institutions to move on, and this is part of it. So thank you. I come from Sag Harbor, and I have had a career in public service starting as the director of the Sag Harbor Youth Center. I chose a career in teaching. I'm a 32-year teacher. I teach social studies and government and economics. Also, in addition to that 32 years, I was raised in a family of plumbers. I went to work at 12 years old, and you know what? I've been working ever since. Right, Dad? As a career, as a public school teacher, it's winding up to a close. It really has been a rewarding career, and it has taught me a lot about a number of things. For me to run for town council, it kind of hit me last year when the governor of the state of New York put $2.5 billion into the state budget for water quality. That, to me, was a signal that we need to turn the ship around here in the town of Southampton. We need to take care of our bays and our waterways and our ponds, and we must really tackle head-on the issue of nitrogen loading. I believe that there is political will on the state level to do this. There is political will on the county level as well, and I want to take my knowledge, experience, and energy and get on the town board and to really, like I said, right this ship. It has been mentioned earlier about the past of the East End. Well, you know what? We also want to preserve the future. That is the foremost reason why I am running for this position. I have served in office, not just as a teacher, but I have served as an elected official and on appointed boards. I was on the Zoning Board of Appeals in an incorporated village. I was elected as trustee in that incorporated village, and that is the village of North Haven. I sit on the Zoning Board of Appeals in the town of Southampton, and I was also elected, and I currently serve as a trustee for the Sag Harbor School District. Last year, I served as its vice president. It's a huge responsibility. I've learned a lot. I love taking courses as far as, development, and I plan to do that as well. And I'm really here in Flanders, Riverside, Northampton Colony, because, you know what, I appreciate you folks. There is great energy in this area. I love meeting with the people here and the homeowners associations. You folks care. Just the fact that you are here tonight listening to us, it shows that you care about your community. And there are issues here, and I believe the town board can help you, and I think we can do better, and that is one of the reasons why I'm running. So I thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Julie Lofstead, and I'm running for re-election for Southampton Town Council. I wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's very nice to see everybody. I grew up in Hampton Bays, and I went off to college to Florida. I came back to work in New York for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. I did that for 15 years. After 9/11, my husband and I decided that I would help him run our commercial fishing business. And that's when I became a community advocate. I worked on building playgrounds. I worked on sex offender legislation and sex offender issues with then legislator Schneiderman and the people right here in this community as well. I've also worked with local families, trying to help families in need. And I was on the PTA and co-founded a not-for-profit called the Hampton Bays Mothers Association. And that kind of started me on the path of public service. In my 20 months on the town board, I have done, you do all sorts of projects, some big projects and some small projects. So just a couple of things that I have spearheaded. A local community did not have beach access. The stairway to their beach, some treads had rotted away. And now that might not seem like a big thing, but to them it was. So I pushed, we got the treads fixed. Now this community has access to their beach again. I've also worked with other organizations within the town, most recently with Surfrider. They had an International Coastal Cleanup Day. They work to educate our community and across the nation and across the world how important our beaches and our waters are to us. I also worked with this community on the Flanders Road rest stop. It was being used as a dumping ground, so we got those garbage cans removed, and now it's a beautiful piece of property. It's a tech stop in memory of a local woman who passed away. Some of the larger issues that I've worked on are repealing the PDD legislation. That was a law that was not doing what it intended, and we needed to repeal it. We've also worked on housing. We have 2 housing projects in the works now, one in Spionk and one in Tuckahoe. We need affordable housing all over Southampton, not just in Flanders area, not just in Hampton Bays. We need to spread it around and make sure that we have housing for our first responders, for our teachers, for our nurses. I also voted to hire our new Director of Public Safety. And he is going to spearhead code enforcement. We do a good job, but we can always do better. I also voted to hire our Director of Housing. I know she's a dynamo at getting CDBG funds as well, and I know that some of that goes to this community, and I think that's great, and I know she's going to pursue it some more. We also hired a very, very capable new police department chief, and I'm very proud of that. In closing, I'm looking to ensure that our environment is protected because it's the engine that drives our economy. I want to make sure that our residents are safe and happy, and that means we need to continue to address infrastructure, housing opportunities, and facility improvements. I plan to keep working hard on behalf of the whole community, and I hope that you'll vote for me in November. Thank you.
I'm going to read these in the order that they were given to me. To the board candidates here. Given the fact that most of Riverside is in the Pine Barrens, what is your position on developing Riverside as per the newly adopted Riverside Overlay District? Will you support increased density in the Pine Barrens? The same is true about the waterfront property along Route 24 and the DEC. Do you think economic growth overrides the Pine Barrens and the DEC? From Larry Oxman, doing much business in Riverside and Flanders. Anyone like to address that?
Well, I'll start. I think that we always need to watch over development. I know that this community needs some revitalization, and we're all for that, but I also think that we need to take into account, we don't want to overdevelop anywhere. As for the riverfront, I think that would be a great spot to have some infrastructure. People love to walk along the river, have an ice cream cone, enjoy themselves, and I think revitalizing along there would be a great idea. Again, but I think we also need to not overdevelop.
Anyone else?
Sure. The question that's posed, we see currently as a town board member, we've seen across the board, as you have all read across the community, of different developments that have been proposed to us. And it's not so much of what I want as an elected official, but you as the community want. And I say this over and over again. Would I support something of that nature? You would be the one to tell me if you wanted me to support something of that nature. As an elected official, I've always made a vow not to do what I want to do, but to do what you want me to do. So would I support something of that? You have to have a balance. And you can't go overboard with the development of an area. With the Pine Barrens especially, you have to be very careful, very cautious in how much is going to be developed. But again, I can't stress enough, as an elected official, you have to listen to the community and the public of what you want, not what I want.
I support the Riverside Revitalization Project near the Peconic River. I think it is an incredible resource for this community. I think it will bring people into the communities up here in Flanders. That is my opinion. Of course, you know, your say up here in the northwest quadrant of the town would be incredibly important. But as far as redeveloping, you know, we drew up those codes, and I really see it as an excellent roadmap for this community to revitalize and rebuild itself, and to economically rejuvenate this area. As far as infrastructure is concerned, you know, this comes with some real important, serious questions, namely, with that amount of development, you know, how are we going to handle our nitrogen loading into the Peconic rivers, because that affects us all. This is not just a local issue. This is an issue, you know, for the entire east end of Long Island, and you know, it has to be done in the right way. As far as the Pine Barrens are concerned, Pine Barrens are very important. This is our this is our water recharge area out here on the east end. It is vital for us to preserve it. We went to great lengths to preserve the Pine Barrens with the Community Preservation Fund, and taking some of the land off of the tax rolls, and, you know, working on making the Northwest Quadrant whole as far as your school district taxes go. I know that's still an issue, and it needs to be looked at. But the Pine Barrens, I believe that we need to keep untouched. But as far as development near the water side and the riverside up in to our northwest, I think it's a great idea.
Well, I believe that it's what the people of the hamlets want, which is important. And if I was elected, I would make sure that I listen to each and every one of you, and we make a decision together. Because this is where you live. The revitalization of this area is very, very important. And we need to bring back the life back into Flanders, Riverside, and North Haven. And development is very, very important, but it is also important that we protect our environment. I'm an advocate of protecting our environment. On a personal note, I raise my own food, I garden. In 17 years, I do not use any chemicals. I use my chicken manure to fertilize my plants and my vegetables, and I use biodynamic farming. So the environment is very important to me and very close to me, and I think that there needs to be a delicate balance. And there are so many wonderful programs and philosophies that we could use so we can actually have that. We can build up the infrastructure so this becomes a vibrant place again, and we can also protect the environment. Thank you.
Can I follow up with my own question, because I don't think anyone answered it. So can I just clarify? The overlay district that you guys.
Wait. Larry, you got to use the mic.
Hi. The overlay district that the town passed, in order to enact it, this building, all of this side of 24 is in the Pine Barrens. It conflicts with the overlay district. The same thing for the DEC. It's one or the other. So if you want the town to be able to do the overlay district, which everyone fought for, you have to make a decision about the Pine Barrens, because everything is in the Pine Barrens.
Sorry, I have to disagree with you. We're in the compatible growth zone, which was always anticipated for development. No part of the redevelopment project is in the core of the Pine Barrens. We're not putting up buildings, we're not building roads, we're not putting in sewage treatment plants back there. This has gone through FRNCA, and that's why I feel like I can get up and speak to this. The redevelopment plan, in the end, when we do have the redevelopment completed, we should have less nitrogen loading to the bays and the rivers than we have today with a blighted commercial core in Riverside. So that is the area we're really focused on and where all the density is going, which is already developed. Certainly it relates to the Pine Barrens, but it's not in the Pine Barrens core preservation area to protect our water. We just have to be real careful about how we treat it, because of course it does affect all of our waterways. And that's why this community group and others fought very hard that no development would happen that does not end up being positive or at worst neutral in terms of nitrogen loading. So I think we just have to be clear. Nobody's asking for the state to violate the Pine Barrens to put up a new town.
Okay, has anyone, we've addressed that question. This is for Stan and Julie only. Uh-oh.
Oh, jeez.
Say something nice about your experience working with the incumbent on the opposite side of the aisle.
I'll go first.
No, it's anonymous.
Okay.
I really like Stan. He's a very nice guy, and I think everybody can agree with that. So thank you, Stan. It's been a joy working with you.
You too. And I feel the same too. Julie's been a pleasure to work with, and I take pride in collaborating with Julie because we both are local people. We listen to the people, and we understand and put ourselves into their shoes so that we can try to solve issues or problems in the different hamlets throughout the town of Southampton.
That was an easy question. Thank you. Absolutely not.
I'm not nasty.
Another anonymous question. The police can't solve the opioid epidemic in Southampton. In your opinion, what can?
Like I said earlier before in my opening statement, as a councilman, I've actually gone riding with the town police, and I've done the overnight tour. And the only place I have gone riding in is Flanders, Riverside, and Northampton, because this is one of our biggest problemed areas, such as with the drug issues. The one thing I can say currently as an elected official, there are a lot of different types of investigations that are going on that you may not be aware of, and that even myself as a town board member may not even be debriefed on it until after the fact. And of course, that's done for, as you well know, if you have an investigation going on, you don't want to blow the investigation. So one thing I can say, though, as a town board member, we do collaborate with the police department. We are in constant contact. They are aware of the situation. Is there an easy fix? No. But the one thing I can say to you, though, is that we always encourage the community, and that's why, as a town board member, I have embedded myself into your community. When you're all asleep, I'm riding around on the overnight tour with the town police, and I have to commend them. They do a phenomenal job here. And when I tell you they know the insides and outsides of all the areas of the town of Flanders, Riverside, Northampton, where it is problematic, they are very well aware of what's going on. Is there an easy solution to this? Unfortunately, not. But are we working hard on it? Yes. Is it Southampton PD? Yes.
I'll chime in here. Everyone in this room knows that this is not just a Southampton problem. This is our country. This is our children, our brothers, our sisters, and they're dying. We definitely need to address this on all levels of government, from the school district and villages up to the state and national government. I liked the initiative that the town has been doing, led by Julie Lofsted, where they're collecting some of the unused prescription medication. That's something I believe that we can invite more treatment facilities here into the town and work with this. But this is serious, and obviously it's serious. But I know that our town police is doing their best to combat this problem with opioid addiction and overdose. I mean, the Narcan injections alone, they need to give double and triple protection. So this is something that I hope that we can get leadership, from higher levels of government on this, and education from the schools as well.
Well, as Tommy John had said, we do a medication take back. I know that the police department is working on doing more. That's one of the issues that our new chief wants to address. I also know that Suffolk County just created a task force. Whether we get a seat on that task force, some sort of input, of course, I'm going to pursue that. I think that everybody in this room knows somebody who's died from an overdose. My own brother-in-law passed away. It's a huge issue. We have to start educating our kids, but it's not just our kids. It's everybody from all walks of life. I agree, a very big issue. We got to address it on all fronts.
Well, I agree. Obviously, it's an extremely, extremely important issue that we have to deal with. But in an issue like this, the police are doing all that they can, but we can go one step further. We can have community policing, where the people of the community and the police work hand in hand together, doing foot patrols together, educating our youth, getting to know our young kids, and starting at the bottom with the young kids and working our way up. So we are working hand in hand together. And also encouraging our older people about drugs, you pick up once, that's it, you're addicted. This is something that as a community, we also have to take responsibility and try and help and make amends and try and help the police and fix this problem. They can't do it alone. We have to do it hand in hand.
Thank you. This is from the anonymous person in the room. Mr. Schiavone, how will you avoid any conflict of interest since your wife is a current town justice?
I suppose that question is for me only. My wife is an elected official in the town of Southampton. She is a town justice. I run on my own merits. I've listed my resume earlier, and you've kind of heard it as well. All town board members, town council men and women, they have inherent conflicts of interest and cannot appear in justice court in the town of Southampton. I would never be in front of my wife. Mr. Glinka would never be in town court. He is a town councilman. So the inherent conflicts of interest are there as an official of the town. So as far as me running, I run on my own experience, my own energy, and you know, I'm proud of it. My wife is a publicly elected official. She is not an appointed official. She is publicly elected by the good people of the town of Southampton, and we're proud of it. So. Thanks, Mom.
1/3 of the street lights at Wildwood Lake not working for years due to an underground wire issue. When will this be resolved? Something is happy. The criminals? Oh, the criminals. The criminals are happy, the voters are not. Okay, Chris Sheldon. So that's about the wires for the lights.
Well, I'll start. I know that will have a town-wide project. We're replacing all the lights with LED lights. I don't know the prioritization of where the program's going to begin in town and where it's going to end, but perhaps we can suggest to have it start there at Wildwood and take care of that problem.
And I have to second actually what Councilwoman Lofstead just said. Yeah, there is an initiative. It's again all on capital improvements, capital projects, and where it falls into the budget, which we all just received as town board members from the supervisor. So again, that's something that we'd have to collaborate to see what we could do and if it was feasible to fit it into this year's budget.
I'll go last. I had my own question.
Okay. Well, my first question would be, is there a maintenance schedule for the streetlights in the town of Southampton? And if so, when was the last scheduled maintenance for that area? And if there wasn't, then we would have to try and find it in the budget to make sure that those lights are fixed.
All of the things that were said previous, and one other caveat. I'm hoping that as a councilman in the town of Southampton, that we could work with the other towns in New York State. There are 932 towns in the state of New York, and we get about 3 to 4% of the New York State budget for infrastructure and roads. Since we're here, I think that we could do a better job lobbying the state of New York, maybe clicking our, the amount of money that we get from New York State up a little bit so that we have the resources to fix our lights in all parts of the town. Really, 2/3 of the state budget goes to education and it goes to health care. About 3 to 4% go to CHIPS and highway money. And I have already attended the New York State Association of Towns meeting. They have a lobbying arm, and I would really love to get more money for all towns in the state of New York. Our president has promised more money for infrastructure. I take him at his word, and I'm hoping that will come down and filter through the states, that the town of Southampton will have more money to put into our streetlights up here in the Northwest Quadrant.
Thank you. What is the update on 1140 Flanders Road project? That is the old 7Z's Health Club. The part 2 is a potentially dangerous corner at Pleasure Drive and Flanders Road and Rough Road. Is that a street, Rough? Or is it rough? Bumpy. Is there an RUFF road at that point? Will Ice, it says. There's a dangerous corner at Pleasure Drive and Flanders Road.
And the road is rough.
Is that the name of the road?
It says rough road will be ice.
Rough.
Ice.
Rough road.
Ice
It's
Icy in the winter.
it's an RUFF.
It's rough.
Well, rough, the other way is RUGH, so I don't know.
Okay, I thought it was a street name. Okay, let me ask the question. Potentially dangerous corner at Pleasure Drive and Flanders Road. It will ice. So I guess they want to know what is going to be done about that.
Okay.
It's anonymous.
Okay. That's. I'm actually liaison to Highway Department along with the supervisor. So.
Hold on, please, one conversation, please.
I'm sorry. I am actually liaison with the supervisor to the Highway Department. That one we split. That's something that I was not aware of. I am aware of it now that it's an issue, so I will have to talk with Mr. Greger, the current highway superintendent, and find out about that. As far as the 7Zs, that was the other question? I have myself, I have also with Kyle Collins, who's head of our planning, we have met a couple times with a potential buyer for the property. Again, because of it being so close to the water and the restrictions that are there in place because of being on the water, they're limited in what they can do with the property. The developer has been doing their due diligence with Suffolk County Health Department. And again, one of the things that's very important is that we try to encourage revitalization and redevelopment, which I've been a big proponent for, not only for Flanders, Riverside, and Northampton, but in other sectors, Hampton Bays as well too, because you want to keep it on the tax roll. The individual that was looking at the property is, I believe, still working with the health department. I have not had the pleasure of meeting with him in probably the past, I'm going to say, 8 months, but it is being looked at, and it is a beautiful piece of property.
Anyone else on that?
I'll take a quick stab at that. As for the 7Zs, I would do everything that I could to move whatever project, if a developer is interested in it, to help move that forward, absolutely. It's a beautiful spot. I think it would be a great asset to anybody to have that developed, including the owner of the property. As for the dangerous road, I didn't know that. I will, forward also the information to Tom Neely, who is our transportation director, and forward that to him as well as Alex.
Well, revitalization is the priority here in this area of Southampton Town. So 7Zs is a priority, obviously to all of us, but that is something definitely that I would get on board with and keep moving in the same direction to bring Flanders to and North Haven and Riverside to a prosperous conclusion. Northampton, sorry.
And North Haven's a fine community.
Oh, is that what I said? No, sorry.
The intersection at Pleasure Drive and Flanders Road, that is a dangerous one. And, you know, safety is paramount. I've made lefts out of Pleasure Drive and had that experience. So, you know, if there is an issue there, we definitely need to contact the Department of Transportation, have it studied up, and you know, some traffic adjustments would need to happen on that corner, clearly. As far as an update for 7Zs, I can't give you an update because I'm not a councilman. But I tell you, it's a great spot and it's a great facility. I'd love to see a YMCA in there and people using that pool from Hampton Bays and Flanders. I would love to see a public-private partnership arise. And I am a huge fan of the YMCA. I've had dealings with the YMCA going back 25 years. It would be great, not just for that facility, but for the community as well.
A Flanders resident asks, can you explain why there is such a large disparity among Southampton residents' real property taxes? For example, a $2 million home in Bridgehampton pays $6,000 in real estate taxes, whereas a house valued at $200,000 in Flanders pays $3,000, half that. Why?
One of the reasons is a lot of the property here is off the tax rolls, so you have a smaller tax base to work with, which is part of the reason why we get pilot taxes. That's a quick and easy answer.
The one thing I can say is that when the tax bills do go out, and we encourage this to all the residents, there's a period that you can do the grievance process. If you've, well, this is where I would say, if it does nothing, that's when we encourage people, all of us as elected officials always encourage people. I'm actually working with somebody right now that reached out to me in Hampton Bays and went through the grievance process and still didn't have any luck, and we're actually starting to make headway because there were loopholes that they didn't realize. So the one thing I can say is, and that's the other thing that I always have prided myself on, is doing individual hand holding constituents and taxpayers in the town of Southampton. If there's an issue, I always encourage people, please reach out to myself or anyone else, and we will walk you through the process of getting to where you want to go. But there is a process, and it is possible, it is feasible. We'd have to look at all angles, and sometimes you'd be surprised what we find.
The problem, the issue here, and the issue, the question was about the taxes in up here in Flanders Riverside compared to Bridgehampton. There's a couple of things happening here. The problem is a structural one, namely. This school district, as you well know, is part of the Riverhead School District. So you're kind of living under the Riverhead School District, and it's divided between two towns. Now, there are some very clear issues between the town of Riverhead and the assessment practices of the town of Southampton. One of the issues is the IDA over in Riverhead that has taken some of the commercial properties off of the tax rolls in Riverhead. They don't pay tax into the Riverhead School District, but guess what? Everyone here on this side of the river, they pay tax into the Riverhead School District. You're kind of subsidizing their economic development over here. And I believe that's something that the town board and the representatives from the town can really stand up for the homeowners and the taxpayers up here in the Northwest Quadrant, as I'm calling it. The other issue is Bridgehampton. They've got a lot of really big homes with no kids going to the school, and I mean, I'm on the school board in Sag Harbor. I am the legislative liaison in Sag Harbor for the past 3 years. I've been going up to Albany, and I've been lobbying for more money in public education, and we have received more money in public education. I've sat across from Senator Flanagan and asked for money, and we got it back, and that has helped the Riverhead School District and the people of this area. But I would really say the assessment practices between the town of Riverhead and some of the things that Riverhead is doing is affecting the people on this side of the canal, and we need to work on this.
This is why the revitalization of this area is so important, to encourage business owners and new homeowners to come into the area to help us with the taxes. This is why it's so important, the revitalization. We have to come together and we have to make this happen. That is what is important. That and everything else will fall into place, but we have to do it together.
I thought it was going to be the last one, but just another one snuck by. This has to be the last one. This is still related to the same subject. Pilot programs were implemented to help offset our community taxes due to the Pine Barrens being removed from the tax rolls. I don't think they were ever on it, though. Will the New York Rising properties also provide pilot payments to help offset our tax burden since they are no longer on our tax roll too?
Well, I think with those New York Rising properties, there's several of them. I don't believe that it's been determined what each and every one is going to be used for, whether they're going to be used going back to their natural state as a buffer, or perhaps for rebuilding housing there, again, depending on their location. So some of them may be on the tax rolls and some may not.
It hasn't really been determined yet either, so it's hard to really even answer it, give a straight answer. Be very blunt.
Sort of a related question, a quick answer because we're running out of time.
Can we
Since the
answer?
majority of our taxes go... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I know they're the
You were
elected.
sitting back. You were sitting
That-
back.
I was sitting back.
You have been leaning forward. Now you were sitting back. I thought...
Well, the New York Rising properties in the communities down here, these, yes, they have not been determined. My position on this is that we use community preservation funds to help offset the tax base here in Flanders Riverside. So I believe you were asking for a position, or whoever wrote it, you were asking for a position on that.
Well, considering that that hasn't been determined, I still think the most important thing, and which should be at the top of our list, is the revitalization of the area for businesses and for new homeowners. That's what we need in this area. It's very simple.
Okay, and quick reply, as I said, we're running out of time. Since the majority of our taxes go to school taxes, why not let our children attend Southampton schools?
Well, just off the top of
Anonymous.
my head, it's a sorry, I had jaw surgery, I can't speak right. A districting issue. And honestly, anything more than that, I don't know, but I would look into it if it's a possibility.
And
I don't
that's
know.
also something that would have to go to a vote as well, too, for them, too. Or if the individuals wanted to pay the tuition to send the student to Southampton, unless it was a special needs situation. But again, I will tell you one thing, and we'll make it real quick. Years ago, Tuckahoe School was approached by West Hampton to see if they would take, as they wanted to build up the census back in the 80s. And of course, 80s are gone, and the censuses are through the roof in all the school districts. With something like that, the school districts would have to collaborate, in which you'd have to actually go and speak to see if they would be willing to take the children in. It's plain and simple. We had something recently in Southampton, I'm sure you might have read in the paper, Tuckahoe and Southampton trying to consolidate, and taxpayers voted against it, the Southampton School District. So that's a very precarious situation. That's not so cut and dry, unfortunately.
The drawing of the district lines, I mean, that's up to the school districts and the people. If you want to change, you're going to have to bring that to the school districts independently, I believe. And it's very, very difficult. The Southampton Tuckahoe situation, again, was very precarious, definitely.
The issue here is one of state law. The Riverhead School District is a single-purpose municipal corporation, and you all are part of that municipal corporation. Southampton schools cannot take students from the Riverhead School District unless both school districts agree, and it would be on a tuition basis. Even though the folks here are within the town of Southampton, that the school districts are entirely different. The reason why Tuckahoe can go to West Hampton or Southampton is because they do not have a high school, and they send their students to those schools on a tuition basis. The Riverhead School District and the Southampton School District are two separate entities. In order to get students from this district to go to somehow, you would have to create your own school district, which would require public referendums in both school districts and a statute passed by the state of New York allowing that to happen. It's like getting an annulment from the Pope, folks. It's possible. All right. But I just wanted, that was for my mom. She's here. But, you know, I please think of the school districts as separate municipalities. They are. Okay.
Well, I'd like to thank you all.
Thank you very much.
I don't think we really have time for closing comments.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
My pleasure. And thank you for cooperating, everyone, and putting down your names and communities. Chris? Okay, I'd like to call the meeting back to order. We have some pretty important local issues to go over. I haven't seen you in a while. Okay. I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. And
Why don't you come over here?
I'm in the wrong spot. Oops.
Come over here.
Okay. Put me wherever I have to go.
Right here.
Right there. Where's my mic? Okay, welcome back. No, the questions, please. Can you imagine me? I would have never gotten through it. Okay, folks, and none of this means anything if you don't get out and vote.
We're missing our treasurer. I don't know where she went.
Where is our treasurer?
I don't know. I don't see.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna reconvene the meeting anyway. I believe she can hear me.
And we have to finish up our meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Okay, I'm going to call us back to order. We do have a quorum. Okay, our regular business. First item up is our upcoming 5K.
Excuse me. Everybody, can we have some order here? We are still having a meeting. Chris, please, please, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Okay.
always look like the bad guy.
Well, he is officially the sergeant at arms, so he has to do this. Okay, on the 5K, which is coming up on the 15th, Babs, do you want to speak to the audience? Where are you, Babs?
Babs?
Okay. All right, we're going to move on, and we'll come
Hey,
back to the
Babs.
5K. We have Ceres and Ron, I think, to speak about Riverside I'm sorry, I misread that. Ceres Barrios for Riverside Rediscovered. Give us a little update.
Oh, I put the mic away. I didn't think we needed it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm bad.
That's okay, I didn't
My
say.
bad.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Tidis Barrios. I am the community liaison for the Riverside Rediscover project.
Speak slowly.
I will. I only have 3 announcements, so I'm going to be brief. We're starting our 12th session of CME. The Children's Museum of Bridgehampton will be conducting classes out of our office starting next Tuesday, October 10th from 5 to 6 p.m. So if you have children between those ages, please contact me or Angela between 2 and 5. Please speak to me after the meeting. We're also going to be hosting our meetup, which is our monthly meeting. It's open to the public. They're really fun at our office on October 19th. Everyone's invited. And lastly, everyone knows that we've been trying to activate Lutland Park since last year. We hosted Trunk or Treat. We had another big event this summer, and we're doing Trunk or Treat again this year. So if you want to participate with your vehicle and dress it up and pass out candy, contact me, Angela, or one of the FRNCA members, as they're one of the sponsoring organizations, or Pastor Keith from Truth Community. And that's October 28th. And if you like, what time? Pauline will be definitely there from 1 to 3 p.m. And we had about 200 participants last year, so we're hoping to get 300 this year. So if you don't participate with your vehicle, you're welcome to participate and come get some candy. So we're also working with FRNCA on putting together the health survey for the environmental justice grant. So those are my updates, not too much. And I'll pass over the microphone back to FRNCA.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, next item actually I think includes you, Ceres. The Head Start Support Initiative, which FRNCA is involved with.
Yes. I don't know how many have visited the Head Start on Flanders Road. We go often to make presentations to the parents about some of the projects that we're helping to lead in the community and to also promote some of the events. And every year that I've gone, there's a lot of need in the building physically, but also in terms of some of the supplies they need in order to make their classes successful. So we met with the site supervisor for Head Start and came up with a list of items that they need. Things as simple as bulletin paper. They didn't have tricycles. There was a number of items that they didn't have, and we were able to partner up with FRNCA, Truth Community, Ladies of the Moose,
Ladies of the Moose.
and also the Suffolk Federal Credit Union, and join and obviously Riverside. We just Ladies of the, yes, I said Ladies of the Moose. And we were able to join together and raise a little bit over $2,000 to buy all the supplies. And I believe the ambulance, the Flanders, Northampton, Riverside ambulance is also going to be supporting us by helping us build some of those items and delivering them. So it's been really fun to actually partner up with the ambulance in these last few months on a number of projects. So we think it's going to be something great for the school that's going to help meet their needs, but also continue to build these partnerships that we've been working on for the last few months. So FRNCA, I believe, is passing today a resolution to allocate some funds for that. Is that what you wanted me to address, Vince? No? Okay.
No problem.
So all right, great. So that's my report in regards to the Head Start, and we'll let everyone know via social media the date that we're going to go deliver these items. Thank you.
Okay. Ron, do you know if because Ron Fisher's been working on this as well. Do we need to appropriate more money?
No, it's under 500, so you can approve it, but
Right.
you can ask.
Okay. Do you know the dollar amount?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
So like Siri said, it was a partnership among a bunch of different groups. The shortfall was $400. So we're going to ask for a motion that FRNCA kicks in the final $400. We were able to fundraise $1,700, and there's a shortfall of $400. So if we can just get the approval on that, that would be great.
I'll make a motion to provide the money. Seconded by Stephen. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, next item up, Puerto Rico relief. Paula, can you say a few words about it? Because I did not even know what was going on right here in the neighborhood, and I'm sure lots of other people don't know either.
Right, so we organized this funding for Mexico and Puerto Rico, so we're doing that on the Flanders Northampton Volunteer Ambulance that let us use their premises to help those people in need, and we're still collecting for them. If you want to go directly to us over there, or you can go to Margarita Spada in Central Islip for Puerto Rico, but we're trying to send the staff out. You all can see that pallets over there that they're going to be going to Mexico. As you all know, Mexico is being in a tough situation right now, so they need a lot of help, and we're doing that, just a couple of volunteers. And we are actually here to give the ambulance a little something from us that we collect. And we did a yard sale this past weekend, and we just have a little something for them for letting us use their premises for almost 2 weeks. And I feel thankful for them to let us use that as a collection center. Thank you so much, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. And I apologize for mentioning only Puerto Rico. It seems like we have so many of these, it's like the disaster of the week. Sorry?
Yeah.
Who's given the envelope?
Ah, okay. Yes, thank you, I'm sorry. Okay, because of the warmer September than usual, our grass kept growing, and we do need to keep the landscaper working for an extra month, which will cost about $400. So I'd like to make a motion to, again, that is something, that is an amount that I can authorize independently as the president, but we do like to bring things before you as often as we possibly can. So I would like to have a motion, perhaps? Okay,
second it.
by Stephen, seconded by Sandy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, environmental,
He's been doing a great job, guys. Did you see the corners, how beautiful they look?
yeah,
He's going to be cutting down some dead trees and making
Speaker.
it really beautiful.
Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're looking better this year than ever, or at least in a long time.
No, he's very good. I'm very happy to have him.
Okay, and he was actually the low bidder, so we're very happy. Okay, so that's extended for one extra month of service. Environmental Justice Grant, approval of the crowdsourced placemaking contract for my signature. Let me back up and refresh your memory. We received, FRNCA applied for and received a $50,000 grant to design the 14-acre maritime trail park and shoreline restoration right here over in Riverside. You all know the parcel. that no one actually can get through to the waterfront. And so before we can run to the state and other agencies to ask for the money to actually construct it, we need to have a design and some cost estimates. And as part of that process, we want a lot of input from the community. So there's two phases to this contract. The town of Southampton is handling $43,000 worth of the work by bidding out to design companies the job of laying out the order of what has to be done, what are the environmental restrictions, where are the best places to put the trail, where can we have benches, what needs to be in that park in terms of activities, what people are looking for will come through this, what we call, the company name is Crowdsourced Placemaking. They work closely with Riverside Rediscovered. They've been very much involved with the whole Riverside Rediscovered effort to get from the community the input, not just by computer programs. They've gone to doors with lists and pictures to have folks check off what they'd like to see there, what are their needs, what are their health needs. Do people need places to walk, exercise in the morning that's safe, out of traffic? So we'll find out more of what people are hoping for in Riverside primarily through this process. That's a $7,000 component of the $50,000 design grant. All of this was already approved by FRNCA, that we do this with them and the town, but it is a separate contract that I must enter into with CSPM for that work. And it is, it was presented to me just the other day, and it's quite a complex contract, so we do need to have legal review. But I would like someone or myself to make a motion to authorize me to sign it during this month after we've had legal review of it, so that I don't have to hold the contract up for a month till our next meeting. So, and again, it is the same amount of money we approved. It's $7,000. It's the group we proposed to the state that we would undertake this task with. They'll work closely with Ceres Barrios out of the local office. And of course, they have their own proprietary databases and ways of approaching people and gathering the information. And we'll also be working with, is it United Healthcare? Who? But that's under CSPM. Okay, so it's all within to find out recreational needs and health needs. What can we do in this park? Whether it's seniors going for a walk every morning and feeling safe, all of these things will be explored. So again, the RFP is being prepared to go out for the design services, and the design consultant, when selected, will not be able to move forward unless we already have this information from the community about what's desired in this space. And what they'd really love to see. So if it's possible, I'd like to have the authority to sign the previously approved $7,000 contract upon review by council, which we have to find council because we don't have one.
I so move that you sign.
Thank you. Anyone want a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Now, anybody know a lawyer? Alrighty. Okay, that was not. Oh, the Butterfly Effect Project. Yes, Butterfly Effect Project. Am I doing this one? I don't have it written. Who's doing it? Oh, Ceres. Ron, can you? We've been supporting them, and I want someone to speak more about the details of because we were asked for a contribution of up to $2,000. We've already provided $500 in sort of emergency funding to keep the program going. And so tonight we'll be asking for either $1,000 or $1,500 more. But before we do that, I want to make sure our members know what we're spending the money on.
All right. For anybody that doesn't know, the Butterfly Effect Project operates in Riverside. It's got over 100 young girls, and it's an early kind of intervention program, but it's not really intervention. What they do is they mentor and work with young girls that come from disadvantaged situations, and they help teach them life skills, everything from cooking to education, help with homework, improving their grades, the dangers of drug addiction, drug abuse, and it's just a phenomenal program. The executive director is Tijuana Fulford. Last year she was the News Review's Person of the Year. This year her group is the recipient of the Suffolk County Human Rights Commission's volunteer-based, community-based organization for all of Suffolk County. She recently quit her job to do the Butterfly Effect Project full-time, and is now that she's growing the program, it's growing a little bit faster than she can fundraise. So because she's operating in Riverside and because she offers such an incredible service to girls and kids that live here in a community that we don't necessarily, as FRNCA, serve to the extent that we could, we thought it might be a smart idea to partner with them. She's doing incredible outreach work. Like Vince said, he's allowed to spend $500. He's already authorized $500 to the Butterfly Effect Project. I'm here to make another ask. So as Vince said, they could really use $2,000 for their operating budget. FRNCA's already been generous and given $500. I'm going to ask for the full $1,500. I know the agenda says $1,000. I know the Butterfly Effect Project is going to be grateful for whatever they get. I know that she's working on fundraisers and she's exploring tons of avenues of grants and additional funding that's going to get her through the next year. But there's a need, there's an immediate need. We raised a ton of money this year. We're not touching 5K scholarship money. We're not touching beautification money. We have plenty of money in those accounts to pay those bills. This would come out of money that was raised predominantly from the Food Truck Festival. I can't think of a better way to spend this money. I can't think of a better way that the people that helped put that together would want this money spent. So I'm going to ask FRNCA to give $1,500 more to the Butterfly Effect Project, hopefully.
Okay, and you know, I do have a great deal of respect for this group because it is working with a segment of our community that we have a hard time reaching, and we need to reach out to young people. We need to reach out to perhaps less privileged folks as well as minorities, making sure that the people who live here understand that we're here as their association and we're here to support their families, their kids, their community. So I know we're working with Sepa Mujer. That's a wonderful group also. And this particular group is, you could look at it as seed money because the long-term needs are huge and they'll have to be raising money. But to keep going right now and serving our community, they've asked us for a little bit of help and I would like to do that. Can I add something? Sure.
So we went, you know, Tijuana Fulfer says that every time she meets someone, including an elected official, everybody says, how can I help? I want to help. And, you know, those words come out, but the help hasn't really come to support the organization. This woman was working a full-time job and supporting that organization out of her paycheck for the last 3 years. So she was the outreach person for PDRCA. That's how we came in contact with the program. And we now been actually housing Tijuana out of our office because they don't have secure office space. So Ron and a couple other folks have been working with Tijuana in terms of setting up operation budgets and collaborating. They're actually applying in a collaborative grant with Sepa Mujer that would bring some of the operational money. But as we all know, grants take 3 months out, if not 6, for it to come in. So we as Riverside Rediscover have also put in a little bit of money into helping through this transitional period. So I would also encourage the board to support them. And also for our viewers out there, make your checks come to the Butterfly Effect Project and FRNCA.
Thank you.
And no pressure, but I'm just going to stand up here and count the votes as they come in for $1,500 because there's one for $1,500. Okay.
Okay. Any questions from our members?
Questions about the group? They're also doing their open enrollment now. So if you do know a girl, it's open to girls, period. So it's a free program, not like the Girl Scouts. So what Tijuana found was that the Girl Scouts was a great program, but still families couldn't afford it. And she talks about how she was a Girl Scout and it was $1 for her because they were on a low income and she never had it. And they kept telling her, now you owe $2. And she said, I didn't have $1 last week. I'm not going to have $2 this week. And it went on until she was embarrassed and quit the Girl Scouts. Now that she's an adult, she's created this program that's free. She said she doesn't want any kid to feel embarrassed like that for not having $1.
Absolutely. And then, like the Girl Scouts, this is a process of building self-esteem, raising expectations of young people who, as you know, and particularly in Riverside, don't always see examples of what of their potential as adults in the neighborhood. We heard about that earlier, the drug dealers, the prostitutes. So, making these young girls and young women understand that they can be a whole lot more than what they see around them, and giving them a little help in figuring out how to do that, and being with them through the process. It's like 2 different levels for younger girls and then for, late teen girls. And I think it's just a wonderful program, and we should be supporting it as best we can.
Your mic cut out, Vince. Did you say 1,500?
Did I say that?
The mic cut out.
Your cut.
I heard my mic loud and clear.
I'm not sure. I'd like to make a motion for 1,500 more. We've put 500 already.
I would like to second that.
You can't second that. Anyone on? Any board
second.
member? Seconded by Sandy. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
That
you.
money is going to be put to really good use in our community. Thank you.
Now you can stay close because we're going to have an update on the school board and an IDA issue, which was actually raised to the candidates, which surprised me. But first, I want to bring up Babs. Is she out there? Babs.
Oh, Babs.
Okay. Well, Ron could do the 5K as well
And is
if
this
he's
Ron?
willing.
Is this
He
Ron?
really doesn't like to talk a lot, though. So
I'm so shy. Okay.
Yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't know, our 5K is 2 weeks from yesterday. Babs has done an incredible job of raising money. Patty has done an incredible job. I've gotten a couple of checks in. So we're still short of what we made for last year's 5K. So if you know of any commercial businesses, your employers, if you're a retired member from a union, Graham, and you have any connections to maybe have a union sponsor the 5K, it would be really helpful to get some more commercial donations. We have a couple of scholarship recipients here. I see a couple of applicants this year, so we need to raise more money. We moved the 5K. Babs and Patty worked out an incredible deal with Legislator Fleming and Assemblyman Field to have it at the Suffolk County Community College campus in Riverside. We were able to move it back 2 months, so it's in October instead of December, and we could really use some more commercial sponsorships. So I don't know if anybody works in the billing department of the hospital and maybe has some connections at the hospital. You got it, Lona? Okay, these are just ideas I'm kicking out, Lona. So we could really use some more sponsorships. All right, you got it, Lona. Okay. Any other connections through
we need
employers?
Volunteers.
We also could use some more volunteers. These women are incredible workhorses, and they get a lot done. But the day of the race, we could definitely use some help setting up breakfast, registering runners, giving out gift bags. You'll do it, Eric? Beautiful. Eric will be there. That'll be helpful.
Yay.
Who's there? Who's there? Who's there?
One more time, Bev? Oh, and participants.
We need those too.
Yeah, remember, in order to receive a scholarship, you have to do a certain amount of community service. This is an excellent event to help with hanging signs, posters, working the day of the race. It's a 4-hour commitment, and it counts towards your community service component. You'll remember last year there were kids that got $500, and then there were kids that got $1,000. The ones that got $1,000 tended to do more for this particular community than volunteering elsewhere. So just keep that in mind, please. We have 2 weeks left to get runners and volunteers. Reach out to me, Babs, Patty, or anybody on the board.
Okay. Thank you. And now, for our school board update.
All right.
Okay, another hat. So many of you know I had to step down from the board. That's why I don't talk nearly as much as I used to. I am now on the Riverhead School Board. One of the issues that I found was that the IDA in Riverhead, which is an agency that's allowed to make businesses tax exempt, they're allowed to tell a business in Riverhead that they don't have to pay property taxes into the school district. It has a weird effect on our side of the river. The less people paying taxes in Riverhead, the more taxes the Southampton side has to kick in. So, as a board member for the Riverhead School District, I can't say that I'm only working for the Southampton residents. I have to work on this issue as a Riverhead School Board member representing the Riverhead town and Southampton. What FRNCA can do, because FRNCA is based on this side, and you may have already heard the seeds were planted, Tommy John Scavone spoke about it, is this civic can look into pressuring the town board on our side to help solve this problem. It's about $500,000 that we're all making up in property taxes to subsidize commercial businesses in the town of Riverhead. So it's a big issue. It's $500,000. District-wide for the school district, it's $1.5 million. That's only this year. The IDA approved 4 more abatements. Next year it'll be more than $1.5 million. We'll be saddled with more than $500,000 of that on our side. So the problem's only going to get worse unless we cut it off and address it. The school board recently voted unanimously to create a subcommittee that I'm on. I'm working with Lori Collins-Downs and Chris Dorr. We're going to work on it from the Riverhead School Board position, but it would be phenomenal to have FRNCA's support on this side of the river. Vince is very familiar with the IDA and their policies and how it works, but it's a big deal. It could save us a lot of money. That, coupled with $500,000 that we don't have to pay for ambulance taxes if the third-party billing works, we could be saving $1 million in taxes just for us. So this is the kind of stuff that would have a real impact on the people that live here, and I hope we have your support.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to add something to that, because I think in my travels through government over the years, it seems like it should be illegal for the board of another town to vote tax breaks, basically giving our taxes away, and we can't vote for them or against them because they're in another town. So the IDA is controlled by the Riverhead Town Board, all a bunch of good people trying to attract businesses, but they are, in effect, giving away tax money from us, which is taxation without representation in a odd way. So I think it shouldn't be legal. It may not even be legal for them to do that, and we're asking the school board to look into that. We want to understand. And it really affects the entire school district. It's not really a Flanders, Riverside, Northampton issue. There are some projects that, Riverhead might consider to be so important to the community that they want to give tax abatements, and then there are others we scratch our heads on when projects that were going to go forward anyway seem to be getting millions of dollars worth of tax breaks from the Riverhead Town Board, and that dramatically hurts our school district because, as Ron was saying and others, it has to be made up. The cost of education is what it is. Based on the number of kids, we get a good deal of school aid. It's not enough, and so our share goes up when tax money is given away from developments that are certainly otherwise moving ahead, in my opinion, without them. So I'm not entirely sure. But it's the main point is that we're not in the discussion. We don't have a say on it. We might agree with some of their decisions, but we are not represented by them. So I think the school district has to look at, and the IDA has to look at how they are affecting our taxes without us being able to vote for their bosses, which is in effect the town board of Riverhead.
All right.
We're going to find out, because if it's not legal, it's good. That's the easy way to stop it. If it's not legal, if it is legal, we got to figure out how to affect it, and I don't know. We just others have discovered this. I never thought about it as it affects this area. I always knew, because I lived in Riverhead before this, how much it affects the school district. And I'm not going to speak, I don't mean to single out Tanger, but Tanger got tax breaks in the beginning, and then they got them renewed, because Lord knows they couldn't make any money if they didn't get their taxes reduced. The busiest shopping center, I think, on the entire island. So there's that kind, and probably there are other examples that may be actually more insane. But if that board is going to be giving away, if the IDA is going to be giving away our taxes, we should have something to say about who's running that IDA.
We'll have to dump boxes of tea in the Peconic River.
We've
Gotta
got the
throw
committee
some
already
tea
formed.
bags in the Peconic River. Well, it's already brown.
So, and the nice thing is we're not just focused on the problem, we're focused on really finding a solution for this.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm
it's for
excited.
the whole school district. It's not
Right,
just about
for the whole school district. That's my role, is to make sure every taxpayer that goes into that school district, whether they're in Riverhead or Southampton, is represented and is treated fairly. And I don't think that's happening right now.
Let's don't drop the ball on that.
in our redevelopment plan, as many of you know, it has to be at least revenue neutral, if not positive, for the school district. And we spoke with them, showed them what the plans are. What would be, market rate taxes, what wouldn't be, so that this is not going to have a negative effect on the school district. That was very much in our minds when the master developer came along, and we were. It's just in the plan. So that won't happen here. And there will be increasing tax revenues to the school district far beyond any cost to it by our redevelopment. And that's the scoop.
They had questions. Can I take
Oh, sure.
questions? Is that okay?
Yes.
Bob, sure.
Can existing abatement agreements be either terminated or adjusted?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem is that there's not enough notification. The public doesn't know that these meetings go on. They're usually on a Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
Right.
Their agenda's very sketchy. Votes happen. No one knows what's going on.
I know.
They just raised the bar by giving someone 30-year tax abatement.
Yeah.
Right.
So the next guy's gonna want
Right.
30-year.
Oh,
the next
my
guy's gonna
God.
want 30-year.
Right.
It's
And
a big issue.
yeah.
And they make money.
It absolutely is, and it's one that now I have a position where I can work to fix it, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
You know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For people who need it, but some
Right.
of these businesses that are getting it, like you said, grounds broken plants.
And the nice thing about this is there's a Suffolk County IDA, which has the same power as the Riverhead IDA. They just conducted a study about the effectiveness of the Suffolk County IDA, and it's doing an incredible job at spurring economic growth around Suffolk County. The numbers don't lie. Unfortunately, I'm going to speak way out of turn here, but it looks like the Riverhead IDA may be politicized. So if you get that out of it, and you have the Suffolk County IDA with the same powers and the same ability to create abatements, but do it on a little bit different way than potentially a politicized IDA, that might solve the problem too. So it's not looking to take this away. It's not looking to not spur economic development in Riverhead. It's just looking to change the way it's done so it's more fair for everybody.
Right.
Vince is right, you're levying taxes, which is kind of illegality.
It's a question in my mind. How do they
That's
do
an
it?
angle. I can't work that angle, but the Civic Association absolutely can work that angle.
Right.
People know who
Yep.
they are and what they do.
No, now that we're aware of this, we're not letting it go until we're going to find out how they got to do this, how is it legal, and how do we get out of it. And that's my personal goal. But we'll be bringing more information, of course, to you.
Sounds like we have a committee started
I think we do, and we're going to pressure at least one school board member.
in the back here.
It's not going to take much, don't worry.
And there's another member. You can round them up. They'll all join us because this is nutty. I mean, in Riverhead, if you like 30-year tax abatements for businesses that are going to open anyway, vote for the people you vote for. But we don't have the option of making that determination and supporting a town board that does that. So it can't. I don't understand how it is legal.
I just want to give one more update from the school district. So for anybody that doesn't know, the PTA in Phillips Avenue is really active, and they're comprised of some phenomenal people. They also now have translating equipment at all the meetings. So if you know people who maybe English isn't their first language, or they're not comfortable participating because they feel like they may not understand what's being said, they have an incredible translator. They have incredible equipment. Children are welcome. So I attended with some other board members. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And they really make it easy to join. So if you know parents who have kids in Phillips Avenue, please encourage them to join the PTA or the PTO and work with them. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you. Being that it's now 3 minutes to 9, I'm going to hope there is no new business and just move to adjourn.